Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Murder in Retrograde. First, before we start today's case, we have a quick and very sad update on the Astroworld tragedy that we covered last episode. Two more people have succumbed to their injuries. The first being Bahardi Shahani, who was a 22-year-old senior at Texas A&M. She suffered multiple heart attacks during the crowd surge. She couldn't even breathe by the time they got her to the hospital. She was ventilated, and then they found zero brain activity. So it's basically been, seems like a waiting game for her family. It didn't seem like she had much hope. And then, horrifically, if you saw any of that footage, she was the girl that they dropped. Did you ever see
Oh,
that?
you told me about it. I didn't realize that was her.
Yeah, her family came forward and said that that was in fact her. I can't imagine the trauma of seeing that. And I hope that it's kind of wiped from the internet because that is a horrific thing for them to see. Oh, she had gone to the concert with her sister and her cousin, who all became separated right when the crowd surge happened. So they're okay, but I can't, their trauma too, like survivor guilt and getting lost and
Yeah.
the fallout from this, it's never ending. And heartbreakingly also, Ezra Blount, the youngest victim who was in a medically induced coma, died last Saturday. He's now the 10th victim to die from their injuries caused by the Houston Music Festival.
Yeah, he's the one
So
that I was on the fence because I wasn't sure what happened last time because he was the one that was like in a coma for a little while. Oh, you just said that. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, it was just he's so young, 10 years old. Like I it's so sad. It's incredibly sad. Also, really quick, I forgot to mention this on the episode too, is that one of the factors that might have come into play also, I guess, from them not ending the show, and I didn't realize it, is that they were filming it for streaming purposes,
yeah, I
which
heard that.
that's wild too. But
Yeah, so it was money making. There's no other reason other than he was recording it to sell it. So, yeah, it's just awful. And I actually had a thought when I was writing all of this down. You know how we saw so many people and TikToks and things like that say that there was a demonic feeling there?
yeah,
I think, like, just the thought of this little boy being underneath all of these people and dying. I mean, souls were being lost and they were underneath these people who were just like zombies with their
mhm.
phones. If you see any pictures, everyone has their phone up recording, which, are you ever going to watch that? Like, why do people record concerts?
I
But
am that person who records them and then watches it back. Sorry. I'm sorry,
okay,
not
some
sorry. That's
people
me.
do,
That
but
person
not
is
every
me.
single person. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it just seemed like the whole demonic thing seemed silly to me. But yes, of course, to see all of that, he has lots of symbolism of hell and stuff like that.
Right.
And then you can't deny we're animals and we're around other people that are dying. There is a really awful feeling that comes over people. So that makes sense to me, that
Yeah.
it was almost subconscious, like something weird is happening. And yes, people were literally dying underneath them, under their feet.
It's crazy too. I had sent you a TikTok. I don't know if you saw it, but a girl went after the fact to like, I don't know why she went, but
Yes.
it's crazy how small that area was and to know how many people were there. I mean, it didn't look that small when you're looking at the footage, to me at least. And so just like another level of like craziness with this whole thing. But this is
It's
going to go on for
similar.
years, for
Yeah.
years.
Have you ever seen the area where they had I know it's hard for you to talk about, but the shooting in Vegas?
Yeah, I know. I saw it
It's
after I was,
so
yeah.
tiny.
Yeah.
And then like Mandalay Bay is so far away from it. It's just, yeah, when you see the scale of things, it's kind of boggles the mind, but it did look very small at Astroworld for all of those people.
Yeah, it's sad, but like I said, it's gonna go on for years. Like the fallout, like you said, people are gonna have trauma of all levels, and he's gonna have a ride on his hands, to say the
Yeah.
very least.
I think it's unfortunate that Travis Scott hasn't been a little more vocal about the victims and being apologetic, or
I
his
agree.
wife or his wife's family. But again, it's like, is it their responsibility? I mean, I don't think I could be posting pictures of me at a wedding when something like that had just happened, but I don't know. Everyone can be judgy. So now that brings us to our case today. It's very current and incredibly odd and confusing. We have scrounged the internet to find anything we could to bring to you today. So here is the story of Heidi Planck.
Yes. So, California mom from LA County, Heidi Planck, she worked for a company called Control, or she was, sorry, the controller and executive assistant at the Camden Capital Partners, which is a big part of this whole story. And Heidi was married to Jim Wayne in 2008, and then they divorced 4 years later after their son, who's just turned 11, was born. And Wayne, her ex husband, is reportedly a hairdresser for the celebrities in Beverly Hills. And things appear to be pretty okay with them. It doesn't seem like there was any kind of animosity or anything with them in their relationship.
Really quick, you didn't happen to mention his age. I kind of find that to be important. He's
Okay,
63 now, she was 39. So that's a 24-year age difference. That's
sure.
no joke in a marriage.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like as you get older, it doesn't really matter that much, right?
Right, but their kid is 11, so she was 29 and he was 53. Does that make
All
it different
right.
to you?
Yeah. It does. Yeah. Good math, by
And
the way. Um,
yes.
so in
I've never heard that sentence in my life. So thank you.
Congratulations. And newly released custody documents that just came out from this marriage, it appears Heidi actually had a history of psychotic breakdowns and bizarre behaviors. And so these reports all come from a 2015 custody fight with her ex husband. For example, according to Jim Wayne, she once, quote, trashed her then 4-year-old son's bedroom before jumping out of a window and climbing onto the neighbor's house semi naked. Her ex also accused her of needing to leave a Rite Aid because it was, quote, too intense. And this one is very strange because she, quote, tried to feed him a plate of bacon as he was driving home. You're my go to expert. What does that sound like to you?
So so they went to the Rite Aid first, and she said like, I'm totally overwhelmed, I need to get out of here. And then she was saying weird things on the way home, like, I ate breakfast today, or I ate breakfast tomorrow. So
Hmm.
she was saying she was doing things in the future.
Okay.
And so then he took her home and she had the son. And the that's when she messed up the house and everything. Like, he was there, and she went upstairs and got a plate of bacon and came back in the car and was like force feeding him bacon. It's clearly some sort of psychological issue, although this is all coming from an ex-husband
Sure.
during a custody fight.
Right.
So take it with a grain of salt. We're not getting her side of the story. Um, but nonetheless, it sounds like, I would say, drugs or something's going on, like a psychotic break or the beginning of some sort of illness, because her manner of speech and, yeah, the erratic behavior, it doesn't sound good, but I don't know what would be causing it exactly.
And I think it's a good point actually to talk about who and what the circumstance is because it's relevant, right? And
Yeah.
so it goes there's more. So Jim Wayne had reported that he thought his son was going to be in, quote, immediate risk of harm if he was left in Heidi's custody. He also alleges that Heidi self-admitted herself into a psychiatric facility in October of 2015. However, on the second day she was there, she called him saying, quote, I'm in a scary place and they are molesting me. He apparently asked her why she felt this way, and she replied, every time I sit down to pee, I have to poop. She also asked why she had a C-section scar since she had no children. So going back to you, that just, I mean, if she's in a facility, well, I mean, but it would sound like there's definitely a psychotic break of some sort, or maybe some
Uh,
sort of undiagnosed something going on.
I have an opinion about this. This is
Yeah.
all speculation, but when relationships are this far apart, it tends to be more of a father-daughter. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
father-daughter dynamic. And not always, but usually the older man is very controlling. Yeah, so we don't know how controlling he was. We don't know how accurate all of this is, but it says something to me that she self-admitted into a psych ward. Like that's not something that a crazy erratic drug addict does, or somebody who's even having a psychological break. That sounds like somebody very aware of, like, I don't
something's
feel
going
right,
on.
I need
Yeah,
to do something. And then the fact that she said she's obviously speaking gobbledygook when he calls, if indeed that's what she said.
right.
But once you go into those places, because unfortunately I've seen a family member go in, they shoot you up with a ton of drugs to calm you down. And a lot of the side effects of these drugs are hallucinations. And, they mess with your brain, and
Sure.
they don't even know exactly what it does. So maybe she's not making sense because they've put her on some kind of drugs. But it just was very striking to me that she put herself in there.
Self-admitted. Yeah.
That's not something somebody erratic and crazy and out of control does.
Right. So what's been going on now? So on October 17th, 2021, Heidi is seen on home security cameras heading out for her then 10-year-old son's, because he just turned 11, his football game, also bringing along her dog, Seven. She was not age 7, like his name is Seven, just so I'm clear. She was also seen driving her 2017 Range Rover. So she attended her son's game and was in Downey, California. But according to her ex, Jim Wayne, he says she, quote, she may have seemed a little bit edgy. I don't know. And then she suddenly had left the game after receiving a phone call. So again, we're kind of hearing this from other people because she's not here to tell her side of anything that happened, right? So something obviously in her demeanor was off, and then she left the game early. Recently, footage came out showing Heidi walking around downtown LA later this same day, walking her dog between an alleyway near a high-rise known as Hope and Flower business or building. And later that day, the dog Seven is found in that apartment building, like wandering around without Heidi. So
And
very
that footage of
weird.
her when she's walking him, she doesn't have her purse, which she has
Right.
earlier in the day, and she's carrying a mask. So to me, I'm not a dog owner, but doesn't that sound to you like she just went to walk the dog and she knew she was going right back into the apartment? So maybe she did
But
know
this isn't
somebody.
her. Yeah, I mean, but or this, or where so we're gonna get to it, but we don't know where her car is either. So that stuff could very well, like maybe the dog was whining, she pulled over to like walk the dog. I don't know, because friends said, her friends specifically, Daniel Nadolny says that, quote, it does leave about a 30-minute time span between the video was shot and the time her dog was found. So 30 minutes is a small window. I feel like we're figuring out what happened between 6:30 and 7 p.m. There's no connection to the area that I'm aware at. So I feel that it's another one of the mysteries. What is she doing there? Who did she know there? So did she pull over and then her car was taken, or was she visiting someone in the apartment? Because dogs are smart too. So maybe you're right. Maybe that she was visiting someone and they tried to go back and find or whatever. I mean, very
It's all
strange.
speculation, but I've heard lots of things. It's not the greatest of areas. It's an
Yeah.
okay building, but I heard speculation that she was going to do drugs or going to pick up drugs, and maybe she OD'd, because in that building, apparently, a tenant in there said that there was a horrible smell coming from the trash chute right around when she went missing. And then they picked the trash up, I think the day before cops narrowed down that building. So they were never able to look at the trash.
But
But I would
also,
imagine they
like,
took DNA from the trash chute.
sure, but like a body isn't going to start smelling the same like within an hour. I wouldn't think, like, or a couple hours. I don't
Yeah, oh
think it.
yeah, it happens really fast.
And also, it's a trash chute. It's going to smell like trash. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so her ex-husband Jim Wayne had reported her missing 3 days later when she failed to pick up her son from school. So her and her, or not her and her son had been texting his mom without response. And so we'll put this up, but it says, can you please call me back? I've called you 2 days in a row and you haven't picked up. Please call or just text me because I want to make sure you're okay and I'm worried about you. Can you tell my dad if you'll pick me up tomorrow or not? Can you please call me? And then he says, can you please call my dad? So he's reaching out nonstop. She's not responding, obviously. Even said on October 20th, Heidi did not appear at school. So that's when we became even more worried. And the son and he went to the police station directly after he picked up the son from school to file a missing persons report. So he said he was able to get the VIN for her Range Rover, but the service for her car is not on. So he couldn't locate her vehicle, which is weird because I feel like isn't that usually on unless you like manually turn that off?
No, remember from other cases, if you're parked underground, it won't activate.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
her car
that.
could, yeah, like thieves know that. So they bring cars right away downtown downtown, underground, because then the cops can't search for it or the car company or whatever.
I learned something new today. I had no idea. And then Wayne also further stated that he called hospitals and even searched obituaries to locate his missing ex-wife. He says he even tried finding her through the Find My Phone feature on the iPhone and Apple Watch, but the feature was disabled.
Why would he look through obituaries? It's not like somebody else would have posted an obituary about her.
I mean, maybe would they have put like a Jane Doe help us figure out who this thing is there? I don't know.
That's a weird, anyway.
And then he goes on to say, I was able to retrieve her business phone from the home on October 20th, and all of her calls got rerouted to her personal phone. Neither her boss or her boss's wife, her friends, her boyfriend, her friends, or her landlord or them had heard from her since he had last saw her on October 17th. So the son is beside himself and uncontrollably crying and worried and desperate to find his mother. We're at the point where we have to expect the worst, and accordingly, I am requesting full legal and full physical custody so that I can legally enroll my son into therapy. This is an emergency. If we hear from authorities that Heidi has been kidnapped or has died, I fear my son will be extremely distressed and inconsolable beyond his current mental state. So let's just play. Like if he's completely innocent of everything, which I think he is, I think it's really great that he's already kind of preparing for his kid to get treatment or to prepare to have someone talking to him. I know you're rolling, I feel like you're rolling your eyes at me, but I like that he's taken some steps to take care of his kid.
I'm not down with the holier than thou. He's really making himself sound like he's amazing and she's just difficult. And I mean, he can take his kid. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you can't take your kid to therapy unless you have.
So it depends on the custody arrangements. So you can have like sole physical, but if you have like, what's the other one?
Joint.
But it's physical and full, and it's anyways. So depending on what you have, you can make all decisions except for life and death decisions, or maybe it's anything regarding to medical treatment. You would have to make them together. So it just depends on their custody arrangement. And then you obviously can't, like in this situation, file to change the arrangement specifically to be like, well, so I think to make things easier, just put everything on him, and it could be temporary. I mean, we don't know. But it sounds like there's already been, listen, yes, he sounds like he's putting himself on a pedestal, right? It's kind of like a narcissistic behavior, but at the same time, it sounds like there's been a history of stuff going on here, right? And it sounds like maybe he's been dealing with something for a while now. And I don't know. I feel like we don't always see the children being thought about so much when people are, after each other and all this stuff. And I think it's commendable that he's putting his kid first and foremost, and that's the priority right now. So
I can't get past the fact that I can't ignore the fact that he has motive, especially if he has accused her of all of these things. And he could be completely innocent, like you said, but that is a motive.
Yeah, for sure.
So she also had a current boyfriend, and his name was Naeem, and her ex-husband, Jim Wayne, who also is talking to the press quite a bit, told the Daily Mail apparently he and Heidi had an argument, the new boyfriend Naeem, and and Heidi. So her ex-husband got the idea that maybe she was ghosting him. He lived in San Francisco. She wanted him to come down and visit her. He apparently couldn't get off of work, and that's what she knew, or what her ex-husband knew, which is another thing. Why did he know about a fight that she had just gotten in with her boyfriend?
Maybe you should
Unless there
tell
were,
them about the soccer game or the football game.
yeah, I guess.
I feel like I
I
don't know.
mean,
It's a very interesting dynamic, but people's relationships, there is such a spectrum of like things that go
totally,
on.
totally. So, Jim Wayne said, quote, "I have no worries about him. He's a great man. I'm certainly not a detective, but he looks like a great person."
Also,
Okay.
okay, let's playing devil's advocate. If the let's say the ex-husband is guilty of something, wouldn't he want to put some doubt on the boyfriend versus be like, no, I think he's great.
No, because I think he's directing all doubt towards the business, which we're going to get into now.
Okay.
So Heidi worked, as Jenna said, as the financial controller for Camden Capital. And this is essentially an investment advisory firm that handles wealth management, trust funds, et cetera, for very, very wealthy, somewhat well-known people. And her boss's name is Jason Sugarman. Heidi's ex-husband actually went on record saying to the Daily Mail that he believes, quote, "the answer to Heidi's whereabouts lie with her boss, Jason Sugarman, and his company," end quote. So he totally puts the blame on this guy. Her ex-husband also said he received a phone call from Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC investigator, on October 21st, asking him about Sugarman and the firm. So she went missing, what, on the 20th?
17th.
17th. Okay. So he went on to say they were interested in Sugarman and his company. They wanted to know what I know about them and just generally asked me what I thought about Sugarman, end quote. So it seems to be that he does have a good reason for feeling this way, though, about this Sugarman guy. He doesn't sound so great. In 2019, Jason Sugarman was charged by the SEC for conjuring up a scheme that scammed $43 million worth of people's hard-earned pension funds. And he left a Native American tribe $60 million in debt as a result. I mean, literally going after Native Americans. And Sugarman, quote, ultimately siphoned almost $9 million in cash for his direct and personal benefit, end quote, according to the 2019 SEC complaint, which was shocking. Jason Sugarman's business partner, Jason Galanis, is currently serving a sentence of more than 15 years in federal prison in San Pedro, California, for multiple frauds. He was also ordered.
Sorry, I feel like this is I feel like we've heard so much about fraud lately and like people getting caught for stealing money. I don't know what's happened in the last 2 years where all of a sudden they're just like arresting people left, right, and center. But it's a wild that people have the balls to rip off people like this. It is insane.
It's really, really shocking. So Sugarman was ordered to forfeit $80 million when he was sentenced in September 2020. Heidi's ex-husband told the Daily Mail he had spoken to Sugarman's assistant shortly after Heidi went missing. The assistant told him that her boss, Jason Sugarman, didn't appear to be too concerned that she had gone missing, which is definitely a red flag if your
100%.
executive assistant and, basically CFO goes missing.
Yeah.
He claimed Sugarman seemed more interested in making sure that his computer was returned than having any idea where Heidi was. Quote, while I was on the phone with his assistant, I heard Sugarman in the background barking at his assistant to tell me, quote, make sure he knows I want my laptop, Wayne said. There was no concern at all from my ex-wife's employer. It's a multi-million-dollar company. They didn't offer to hire a private investigator or put up a reward, end quote.
Which I think is a good point because like if you're like one of the most important people in this business in terms of what she's doing, you would think your employer would like have your back a little bit or your families and support them. Yeah, maybe put up a reward. Like if I don't know.
And then just a little something I was thinking of. So this woman is essentially in title, at least, in charge of the finances.
Mm-hmm.
This company's being investigated. She is not the person you would hire. She's not a CPA. She doesn't have like a long list of non-erratic behavior. You don't want this person in charge of your money. However, it's a really good person to use their name and make them sign everything and then make all of the fraud in their name.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out there. Because it is really important to note that Jason Sugarman is currently under federal securities investigation for possible fraud charges. So there's so many avenues that are sketchy and shady. Oddly, home surveillance from Heidi's home shows Sugarman leaving muffins on her doorstep in Rainier Village a day or two after she went missing.
I think he's doing it to scope it out and see what's going on, because her place got raided also. And I don't know if when he dropped this off was before or after that, but like, what are you doing? You know, she's missing. Like, what are you doing?
It's so interesting because we have a picture of it. He pulls up, he leaves his door open, he goes up, he bends down to put him down, but he is looking inside. And I don't know, it just seems very like he's trying to make sure he is seen on camera caring about her. Meanwhile, he's saying, make sure I get my laptop back. And then he's bringing her muffins. That's not what everyone was saying he was acting like.
Yeah.
So another interesting thing that I found about Jason Sugarman is that he is the son-in-law of Peter Guber. So he's married to Peter Guber's daughter, Elizabeth, and they have at least one son. So who's Peter Guber? According to Wikipedia, he's an American business executive, entrepreneur, educator, and author. He's chairman and CEO of Mandalay Entertainment. Guber's most recent films from Mandalay Entertainment include The Kids Are All Right, Soul Surfer, and Bernie. He's also produced Rain Man, Batman, The Color Purple, Midnight Express, Gorillas in the Mist, The Witches of Eastwick, Missing, and Flashdance. His films have grossed over $3 billion worldwide, and he's received 50 Academy Award nominations.
Wow.
So this is a big wheeler dealer, and this sounds like crook marries the daughter. And I just wonder what, like if that father-in-law knew anything, or if he's going to get dragged into it. I don't know. Sugarman's also a minority owner in the Los Angeles Football League, the MLS team. And Jenna, both you and I know how corrupt football or soccer, whatever you want to say, is all around the world. I mean, it's like the easiest way to launder money.
I was just going to say, just for people who might not be familiar, it's more of like laundering money through them, right? It's like how you would make it fraudulent.
Definitely. And that FIFA's been accused and convicted of that plenty of times. So there's a lot of speculation. Like I was saying earlier, I've seen a lot of people online speculate that she went down there to get drugs because, it is next to Skid Row, and something went badly and people got rid of her or what have you. Her boss needed to get rid of her. Definitely. She knew too much. She had her name was on everything. So she was like the fall person.
Yeah.
And if she's gone, she can't talk. But
like I said, we didn't really put it in here, but after she was missing, the FBI raided her house. So it's like very convenient timing. Like she goes missing and then she's raided. So she can't talk. I would imagine part of that raid they would have wanted to talk to her. It's just
she could have wanted to disappear,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many theories. Like, I don't know if I buy into the drug part, because let's say the husband wanted, or ex-husband wanted, his full custody or whatever, and he knew she was like dabbling in drugs. All you need is to put that on the record, get a drug test through the court, and then you're like pretty guaranteed to get full custody.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So it's interesting. There are lots of unknowns, and we won't know more until she's found. So
there's also speculation that when she was at that soccer game, she saw somebody was watching her, and she knew they were going to get her, and so she wanted to get away from her son, and so she left. There's so many theories.
Yeah. And so to help, if you are in the LA County, especially, you might have some information. She is described as 5'2", 102 pounds, white woman, blonde hair, blue eyes. She was last seen wearing jeans and a gray sweater. If you have seen or you have any information whatsoever about this case, you can contact Los Angeles Police Department Missing Persons Unit, and we'll put the phone numbers all up on our everywhere. But you can always look it up too. And then you can also call anonymously always. And there's Crime Stoppers, and it's LA Crime Stoppers to be exact. But if you know something and you don't want to get dragged, just anonymously put some tips, because they need to find her. For nothing else, that child of hers will need some closure at the very least.
Yeah. And I heard something interesting. If anybody is worried about like, how do they do it anonymously, especially nowadays with cell phones and things, they don't have any caller ID. And when a tip is sent in, it's assigned a number. So you're only known by a number. There's never a name put in anywhere. They will never find you, any of that. So even if you think it's silly, say something, they'll check it out.
Yeah, because some of those things too, they just need that one little nugget to put them on like the right path. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they don't necessarily need to talk to you. They just need to be sent in the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's the case of Heidi Planck. And, if you know anything, please say something or reach out or share the story so more eyes are on it. And hopefully there'll be some answers, or they'll find her soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure to continue to follow us for any updates on this and previous cases that we cover. All of our socials pretty much at Murder in Retrograde. Yeah.
And then just really quick, astrologically, gird your loins, people.
Oh yeah,
Gird your loins.
I'm scared.
It's mayhem right now. The signs, it's Aries moon. We've got Scorpio season.
Scorpio, yeah.
Everything is squared off. It's going to be a lot of confrontation, a lot of fights with family, about tradition. And it's like, yeah, that's easy to say. Thanksgiving is coming, but it's I never watched Game of Thrones, but winter is coming. Winter is coming, especially if you're a Taurus.
Oh, I'm scared. I know you sent me that TikTok where it's like telling you all the things that are going on, and all I got from it was like, we're gonna be real bitchy, and I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, Taurus is gonna get the brunt of it. Scorpio, so good luck out there. Good thing you're bulls, because you're real stubborn and strong.
On that note, be safe
and trust your gut, please, always.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Or no,
Adios.
We won't see you next week.
It's Thanksgiving. We're gonna be fighting with our families. We'll fight our families. Everybody, gird your loins and come back to Murder in Retrograde, and we'll just all breathe a sigh of relief together.
Yes, amen. All right, see you guys.
Adios.